Want me to let you in on a little family secret? Manicotti with homemade crepes. No store-bought dried macaroni tubes here. These crepes are so light and delicate they melt in your mouth, and the filling is creamy and cheesy and delicious. This manicotti recipe was taught to me by my great Aunt Marie, and it really stands the test of time. So let's get started.
Little family cookbook. There I am. See, there's me. So we're gonna start with some really good quality. We're gonna start with good quality ricotta cheese. I like to drain mine because there's a lot of liquid in here. If you look, there's lots of liquid. So you can use a cheesecloth or you can use a linen cloth, and I just actually used a paper towel. You can't use any paper towel. This is Viva. These are like fabric. I'm gonna dump this out in the sink. We'll use this bowl, and it's nice and dry, so that way you won't have leaky manicotti. Then we're going to add some grated Parmesan cheese, about a pound of mozzarella cheese. My kids ate half of this, so this is like half a pound. Maybe chop up some parsley. This is also about a quarter cup. You can do a rough chop. You know, a lot of kids don't like parsley, so you might want to chop that up a little bit more finely, a little bit more finely, a little more finely. A little bit finely, more fine. A little more fine. My face is shaking. It'll all be fine. Shake your face, shake your face. You're gonna just go ahead and put this in there. Okay? Oh, my aunt put in hard-boiled eggs and also 3 regular eggs. So we're gonna go ahead and peel our eggs. And I don't know if many of you know the trick about boiling eggs. Julia Child has a recipe from a long time ago where you boil them for, no you don't, what do? You put them in the water cold. No, you put the water in cold. The water's cold. And you put the eggs in with the cold water, you let it come to a boil, then you shut it off and you let it sit there. I think it's 13 minutes. Anyway, it makes like the perfect egg. And it allows them to peel really nicely. You don't get any of that weird green color on the inside. Watch this be green on the inside. Oh, they're perfect.
Are they green?
No, they're not green. Maybe a little. There's a little bit green. You're just gonna chop them. No one's gonna care. It's funny because I remember my Aunt Marie making these all the time, but I actually never remember eating them. She lived right next to my grandmother, and we celebrated every holiday together except for Easter. So I'm wondering if maybe this was an Easter dish. I used to cook with her a lot. Once she accused me of stealing her ladle. She didn't talk to me for like 3 weeks.
She thought you stole her ladle?
She thought I stole her ladle.
Did you steal her ladle?
I didn't steal it. Then she found it, but she never said that I didn't steal it.
Sorry?
No. Okay, so in here we have our ricotta cheese that we strained all the liquid from. We have our Romano cheese, our grated Romano. We have our parsley, we have a mozzarella, and we have our 3 hard-boiled eggs, and now we're gonna put in 3 raw eggs. 3 raw eggs, 3 raw eggs. See how they run?
Why is that funny?
Because eggs are runny. I know you should use a spoon. I just mix with my hand. Mix, mix, mix. Be taller for a minute. Maybe I should have used a spoon.
I don't think you have to talk as much as you think you do. Is it okay that I'm talking?
Okay, so I'm gonna grab a little bit of salt and pepper. Salt and pepper's here. Just a pinch of salt because the cheese is salty, especially the Romano cheese. That's a good, maybe. And then a couple cracks of pepper. Now we have our filling. All right, so that's good. We're gonna set this aside. This makes me happy. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and make the batter for the crepes. We're gonna crack some eggs. I have 10 eggs here. This makes 40 crepes, and I know you're thinking, I don't wanna make 40 crepes. Well, if you're gonna go through the trouble of making homemade crepes, you should just make a bunch. And the thing is that you can make all of these manicotti and freeze them in a single layer in the freezer and then put them in a freezer bag, and they last a few months. So I would do that, or if you want to cut the recipe in half, you can totally do that too. Oh, and here's a cute little trick that I learned. It's helpful. If you get a little shell in there, You know how you can never get it? It's really annoying. Like if you want to try to get it with your finger and it's like, haha, you can't get me. So you use the shell and it's like a magnet and you can just pick it up. Okay. All right, so we have our 10 eggs in there and I'm gonna whisk it. You can see there. We're whisking, we're whisking. Okay, so that's pretty good. Then we're gonna add our water and our flour and a pinch of salt. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to heat up this is like a 6-inch nonstick skillet. You could use a 6 or a 7-inch skillet. I'm gonna put it on a burner to heat up. Okay, so now I'm gonna add 2.5 cups of water. And then I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. It's about a teaspoon. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the flour. I have 2.5 cups of flour and I'm going to add that gradually. Make sure this first cup is all incorporated. It was really fun to cook with my aunt. I grew up, I cooked with my aunt. I cooked a lot with my grandparents. I cooked a lot with my older cousins. Okay, here's my second. I'm just going to add half of that. Mix that in. Need a break. Oh, okay. There's so much more buff on this side. Another half a cup, and that should be good. It's gonna be like a runny consistency. I like the crepes really thin. I don't really want a thick crepe, so it's a little bit, takes a little bit to get used to that. But you find the consistency you like, oh man. Okay, so there we go. It's a nice batter. You want this really hot. Before you do that, you want to get some wax paper and put it down because as you make the crepes, you're going to just flip them out on the wax paper to cool. Here I am. Out of the way. I like when I become Oprah. You get a crepe.
No, you get a crepe. I love crepes. I love crepes.
I love crepes. All right, and the last thing I need is a ladle. So this takes a little bit of practice. It's like a little, you gotta learn how to like kind of dance while you make it. So it's less than a quarter I use. Add it into the middle of your pan and you're gonna quickly move that around. You see that? Just kind of twist your wrist around. If you get a hole, see like that little guy over there, there's a hole. So then I just fill them. What you do is you take a fork. It makes it more fancy if you have a gold fork. And then you just take your fork and you lift up the edges. And the first one or two might stick and you might pitch it, and that's fine, that happens. But really that's maybe like 30 seconds and you flip it out. I didn't think it was gonna flip out. This is actually darker than I like and a little thicker, but we'll just keep working. It takes me a few to get it exactly how I want. So I'm gonna add a little less batter and it'll be quicker with the flick of my wrist. See. Oh. Yep. There you go. And I'm going to use the back of my spoon to fill in any other areas I missed. Okay, see that? I'm going to let it cook for a second. There won't be any shiny parts left on top and it'll become completely opaque, and that's how you know that it's done. Get up underneath there.
Get up under that crepe.
Dance, you feel better. That one's better. I like mine a little bit lighter, okay? And a little bit even thinner than this. You're just gonna repeat this over and over and over. Once they're cold, you can stack them, no problem. If you're gonna store those, you can put a piece of wax paper in between each one. But I recommend using them the day of, okay? Here we go. Oh. There we go. There we go. Okay, so I just wanted to show you, I made 6 of them now, and I am really liking the color and the thinness of these crepes. So I just wanted you to see that. So it does take a few for you to get used to it. Also, I wanted to mention you'll get some, you know, dried egg bits in your pan. So just make sure you have a paper towel handy and you can just wipe that out very carefully, throw it in the garbage as you go. Okay, so I have our crepes right here. They turned out so beautifully. Look how thin they are. The color is really, really nice. So I'm laying these out on my counter. I'm going to get a big tablespoon. we're gonna get our delicious ricotta filling that we made. Take a heaping tablespoon and offset it. So it's going to be on one side of the crepe. Okay. All right, so I'm setting these on one side of the crepe, a nice big heaping tablespoon. Then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna roll them up like a Cuban cigar. I don't know why that's funny. I like to roll it up and kind of push it back. I'm pretty square, but if any of you have ever rolled other things, you might know how to do that. So we're gonna roll these up. I think that maybe 12 can fit in a 9x13 pan. We're gonna find out. That one's a fatty. I just rolled a fatty. It's a lot of filling in there. I'm gonna give that someone extra special. I'm gonna put a ladle of marinara in there, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do. You can just watch me. All right, so I'm far away from you, but I'm just ladling this. A little bit of sauce. I'm gonna come back over, see that? And there's a seam. I'm gonna put them seam side down so there's no possibility for them to open when we bake them. And if you are looking for a good marinara recipe, I have one on my website, www.thenighttimecook, or you can use your favorite sauce. You could use a cream sauce. That would be delicious. I've done that too. This fits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's it, 9. Get a bigger pan. I'm gonna put sauce over top here. Okay, so look, so there's sauce on there. It's nice and covered. And I'm going to put a little bit of foil. Peekaboo. I'm silly now. So we're gonna go ahead and put that in the oven for 40 minutes and we're gonna have delicious homemade manicotti. So here we go. Wanna see? Okay, so this looks deliciously baked. We're gonna go dig in there. So they kept their shape really well. We put the seam side down. Look at that. Look at that.
There you have it. Manicotti made with light and tender homemade crepes. You did it. I think my Aunt Marie would say, good job. She'd also say, clean as you go, kid, and guard that ladle with your life. For this recipe and more recipes to guard with your life, visit my blog at thenighttimecook.com. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and share to this channel. I make new videos weekly. Thanks for stopping by.